What's up everybody, welcome back to the Chug YouTube channel. Today we're going to knock out a very cool video looking at these EMG pickups and asking ourselves the question, are they still relevant in 2026? Spoiler, yes they are. Let me tell you why. Alright, what is up everybody? A big welcome back to the Chug YouTube channel. My name is DJ. If you're brand new here, then please just allow me 30 seconds to introduce myself. I'm a guitarist from the southwest of the UK who's been playing guitar for about 20 years or so. Been doing this YouTube thing for 1 year and 2 months at this point. I'm having an absolute blast. I really enjoy creating, making videos to share with the world about my favorite thing and everything that it encompasses, and that is the electric guitar. Most specifically, I look at down-tuned, extended range 7 and 8 string guitars. If it sounds like your kind of vibe, or you go on to enjoy this video, find it useful, entertaining, or whatever, it would mean the world to me if you would consider subscribing. I'm trying to get myself to 2,000 subscribers at the moment, and having you, yes you, along for the journey, along for the adventure would be amazing and mean the world to me. So if you go on to do that, just know that I appreciate you very much. I play in a band. We're a groovecore band called HollowKin. We play shouty, screamy, heavy, riffy kind of music. Lots of double pedally stuff, lots of screamy, shouty, riffy guitars. It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. So if you feel like checking us out based on any of the riffs that you hear in today's video, because a lot of the riffs are taken from our songs, then please feel free to check us out. There's links down below. Anyway, with all of that being said, let's have a look at what we came here to look at. And that is the EMG pickups that are in this ESP LTD TE417. Before we go into the specifics of this pickup, why we're looking at it and why I care so much to make a video about it, let's see how they sound in a full demo mix. This song has been put together solely with this guitar. If you're a regular on this channel, then firstly, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. But also, you may recognize this. This was the demo that I wrote for the song that I wrote for the video, looking at the DiMarzio Super Distortion pickups. It's the same song, but I re-recorded all of the guitars with these pickups. So if you feel like comparing the two, then you could go and check that video out after this. Let's roll the demo, and then when we come back, we can look at our signal chain and all the tones and bits and pieces that we're going to be looking at today. So why am I making this video? I fully appreciate, and I'm very aware you don't need to come at me in the comments, but I'm sure people will anyway. This is not a video that YouTube needs. There is going to be a million videos that some other guitarists have done on EMGs, specifically this set, I'm sure. But I really enjoy making videos, and this was one that I was excited to make and share with the world. So that's why we're doing it. I wanted to have a look at these EMGs. I'm on a bit of a pickup kick at the moment anyway. I've just recently done videos on the, as I mentioned, the DiMarzio Super Distortion pickups. I've just done one on the bare knuckle Cold Sweat and Ragnarok that I've got in my 7-string Les Paul. It just really interests me. I'm going to be doing a video soon on Fishman Fluences as well, because I've got a set in my Legator, and I'm just really enjoying checking out pickups at the moment and seeing how they compare from guitar to guitar in this extended range that I most enjoy using. So that's why we're doing the video. I wanted to have a quick mention of our signal chain. I always make sure you know it in all of our videos. So today, as always, we're going to be using the guitar, in this case the ESP LTD TE417. That's going to be going straight into my Focusrite Scarlett Solo interface. That's going straight into my MacBook Pro. On my MacBook Pro, I've got GarageBand loaded up, and in GarageBand, I've got the Neural DSP SLO100 plugin. Now, I haven't changed any of the tones or the settings that I use for it. I use the same one for every single one of my videos. It makes a really cool comparison across all the guitars and pickups that I look at on this channel. But I was tempted to fiddle about with the clean tones because this didn't perform great in that section of the video. But I thought, no, I'm going to leave it as it is. So if you come to that section, you think, wow, that sounds bad. Normally, if you check out any of my other videos, it sounds pretty good. But if you hear it and you don't like how it sounds, it's just a representation of how these sound compared to other pickups in other guitars using the same settings. So in this video, we're specifically looking at these EMGs. So these are the EMG 81's 7 and 707 pickups. Of course, based on the EMG 81 and 70 pickup sets, but for a 7-string guitar. So for all intents and purposes, they're the same pickups, just slightly bigger to compensate for that extra string. Just like a school report, I wanted to start with the positives because I think the positives outweigh the negatives, although there are certainly some negatives with these pickups. But let's start with the positives first of all. These pickups are built to do one thing, and they do that one thing exceptionally well, and that is high gain.
No way!
These pickups do high gain, metal, hard rock, those kinds of genres, the genres that I most like. They do those genres very, very well. And there's a reason that we still use them, although they're not as popular as they once were in perhaps the early, mid and late 2010s. They still are used by many, many artists all over the world, big and small. And there's a reason for that. These have a very specific tone, very specific characteristics. They are their own thing. And that thing that they do is that hard rock and that metal tone. They do it so well. They are ultra compressed, which you could look at as a good thing because it means it does things like pinch harmonics and harmonic tapping and things like that. It does those so well because they can sometimes get a little bit lost in the nuance of the dynamics when you're using like a passive pickup or even like a Fishman. But with these, being that they're so compressed, you can look at that in a good way because it brings those slightly quieter noises up to be at a similar level to where you would find just your general kind of palm mutes and rhythm playing. So conversely to that, let's look at some of the negatives. Now, all of these are just my opinions. This is just my take. I'm just one dude from the UK who does chuggy riffs and caveman style guitar playing, and these are just my opinions. They aren't going to be the same as everyone else's. You might absolutely love everything about these pickups and have no negatives. You might absolutely hate these pickups and have no positives. And I think that's what's wonderful about being a guitarist is we have so so many options available to us that there is really something for everyone. If you don't like EMGs, you can use Fishman's or bare knuckles or Lundgren's or whatever. There's so much choice out there for you to use. So these are just my opinions. This is just my personal opinions on these pickups. If you've got a different opinion, share it in the comments section and let's have a little conversation down there. Let's have a bit of a back and forth, because I'd love to know what your opinions are on these pickups. But my negatives for this pickup are, first of all, the same as the last positive that I mentioned in the previous section of this video. These are ultra compressed. And although that can be really good for things like I mentioned, like tapping harmonics and pinch harmonics and things like that, it does mean that you've got a super samey signal across the board. Whether you're doing cleans, heavy rhythm, leads, whatever you're doing, everything's just like the same. And that's could be looked at, like I said previously, as a good thing, but it also means you lose some of the articulation, some of the nuance, some of the feel of what you're doing, because everything's just at the same volume. And like I said, that can be good, but some people could look at that as a bad thing. I think it's just the characteristic of the pickup. So although some people look at it as a negative, I think it's kind of, it is what it is with these pickups. The other thing with the EMGs, and I'm specifically probably talking about the 81, the bridge side of the pickups more than anything else here, is they are a little bit fuzzy. And again, that's just the characteristic of them. But if you were to compare this to something more modern, like I've mentioned, like a Fishman, they'd be like the main rival, I suppose, to EMG. You could say that these are a bit fuzzy by comparison to something more modern. But again, that is the characteristic of the pickup. That is part of that sound of the EMG. So it's something you're either going to love, hate, or even feel completely neutral about. So further on from that, you could say these are a bit of a one-trick pony. Like I said, they do the distortion, the drive, the big riffy sound very, very well. I love the way that these sound, but you could quite easily argue that they are just a one-trick pony. I don't think you're gonna ever catch anyone playing jazz or blues or soft rock on this kind of a guitar. This guitar with these pickups in is only really gonna do one genre, and that is gonna be that metal, hard rock to metal, that genre of big, riffy, heavy drive, that kind of stuff. And that's great for me because that's what I enjoy making, creating. That's the kind of sound I hear in my head when I think of what a guitar should sound like. But you could easily make an argument that they're one-trick ponies. I don't think they clean up very well, as you'll hear in this next sound clip. There is a lot of like digital fizz to the clean. You can kind of lose some of that if you're doing like a super ambient sort of playing, which I'll include in this video as well. But I do find them, if you're just using them for clean, they're pretty brittle, they're pretty fizzy, and it's like a digital glitchy kind of fizziness to them. So yeah, you'll hear that in the next sound clip. in a guitar landscape that I think is dominated these days by Fishmans, do these still have a place? I think yes. I don't think they have quite the place that they once did, and I think that's exampled perfectly by brands like ESP and LTD. Every single LTD and ESP that you would find back in the early mid 2000s, even towards the end of the 2010s and those early 20-teen years, whatever we call those, you would find EMGs in every single ESP and LTD. A few years ago, they switched out to Fishmans in a lot of their models. Some of the models still hold true with the EMGs in them, but I thought it was a really interesting year when LTD and ESP decided to do that, because I think it emphasized the tipping point in guitars that we were moving on from this EMG sound into something like a Fishman, which I'll detail in a separate video, but they're so crisp, so clear, so articulate. They've got so many voicing options. They are absolutely wonderful pickups, Fishmans, but I still think these have their place, but I think it's just a bit more of a niche place now than it used to be, where these were the king of metal pickups and everyone was using these. These give a way more raw, energetic kind of sound, as far as I'm concerned, to anything compared to it like a Fishman or Bare Knuckles or Lundgren's. Well, maybe not Bare Knuckles, because I really like the way that they sound, but I like the way all pickups sound. I don't mean this to bash on any pickups, because I think they all sound great in their own way. But I think that these are much more of a niche kind of pickup these days than they ever used to be. They do give that raw energy. They do give that harsh, heavy sound that I think some people look for in their guitars. This guitar right here is the only guitar that I have now in my collection that has EMGs in it. And the reason I've only got them in this is I like to keep as much variety in my guitars as I possibly can. Because I'm on the road, I gig a lot, I tour, I'm in the studio a lot as well. I don't want all of my guitars to sound the same. They all need to sound different. And it was really, really important to me to have one guitar, at least one, in my collection that had EMGs in it, because there's always going to be an application for it. We're heading back into the studio this year, and there are 2 songs that we're going to lay down on our album that we're going to re-record in that I already know I'm going to record with this, because for those particular songs I want a really raw, aggressive kind of sound, and I only can get them with these pickups. I already know the sound that I want, and I know that these are going to achieve it. Would I use it exclusively in the studio? Probably not. Would I use it live and on tour? Absolutely. I think these are amazing when you throw them through a loud, driven valve amp. I throw this through my Victory Kraken and my Orange 4x12. Sounds amazing. But would I use them exclusively? Probably not, because like I said, I like variety, and that's where I think these shine, is in offering a different flavor. In a previous video, interestingly, I compared it to pizza. There's no bad pizza. We just all have different preferences. Some people like pineapple. Some people vehemently hate pineapple on pizza. Neither are wrong. They're just different opinions. It's still a pizza at the end of the day, and pizza's awesome. Same as pickups. Pickups are awesome. We just have different preferences when it comes to what we use and the sounds we like to hear. I'm going to leave it there for today. That was everything that I wanted to say about the EMGs. This one's an 81.7. This one's a 707. What did you think of how they sounded in the riffs, the cleans, the ambience, and the lead sections that I presented to you all today? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on what you think. Do you think EMGs still have a place in modern guitar playing or modern metal guitar playing? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section and we'll have a chat down there. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's video, everybody. It's been awesome to hang out with you and I've loved putting this video together. This one was a lot of fun. In fact, all the pickup videos that I've done recently have been a lot of fun, so if you feel like checking them out after you finish watching this one, then that would be awesome. It's been great to have you. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you in the next one in a bit.